let's get on with their article here so that way we can see all the things that they want to reflect on that took place during early access. Let's catch up on a little bit more chat here really quick before we get into this. Cat Died says, lore is cool, but the only way to discover lore is through Discord or website channels. Lore needs to be discoverable and expanded in-game. I agree 110% with that statement right there, Cat Died. I agree through and through. Fadril says, love lore, but game doesn't have enough yet for a dedicated podcast. That's kind of what I'm thinking about that as well, that there's really not too much there. If you really, really dig, you can find some stuff that maybe I could do a couple episodes on. Blimpy says, I can understand them wanting to hide the lore until release. Fadril says, Renown needs private servers. Guys, we went into Renowned and it's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Like, it has its problems. Offline rating, toxicity like Rust. It can be an absolute shit show at times, but Renowned looks really cool. And it's amazing to see what a 4-man development team with not nearly as deep a pockets as PAX Day was capable of producing for their first playtest. It was a lot of fun. Mordhau and chivalry style physics-based combat makes it engaging and fun and skill-based. The building left some to be desired. Their interfaces and their UI and things like that were on the, they were not the strong suits of the game, mind you. But then again, it's an alpha. That's an alpha, whereas PAX Day is in early access. If we can get private servers for Renown, it could be a lot of fun to mess around on there. Absolutely. Cat Died says, yep. Bean says, March 24th was harsh. LOL, only 100. EOTB says, the gamers and communities are demanding smaller playing groups for those devoted to the protection from the in bad faith actors. They need to get on board with that. Absolutely. And I think private servers ultimately can remove the trolls and the bad faith actors from communities who want to simply enjoy a video game, right? You get to remove yourself from the toxicity of greater communities of things like Rust and stuff like that, and have your own private server and community where honestly, you can keep it open to people, but you have the authority to moderate and remove people as you see fit, as they break immersion or go outside of the bounds of what the guidelines may be set up for your server or your season or whatever you're going to be doing with your private server. I think that there's really no downside to private servers, because if people want to continue to play on the main servers, they absolutely can. All it's doing is giving the option for people to enjoy the game and play the game the way that they want to. And why would that ever be a bad thing, right? Giving people the option to play the game the way that they wish to enjoy it is only a net positive, in my opinion. Fadril says, I am quite disturbed by the first clan spotlights, though, in my opinion, Mainframe is ignorant on the issues there. And that's going to be the opinion of the individuals. I'm not really going to be talking too much about stuff like that per se, but I'll definitely leave it up to you guys to decide if you think the clan spotlights are a good or bad thing ultimately. But we will talk about that more when we get to that spot in the podcast. EOTB says, yeah, the debacle of who, what, where, as to sent items and how they got displayed and presented proves this for the V-Day event. Oh yeah, that was pretty interesting, the way the V-Day, that kind of had a lot of drama around it too as well. And that's the problem with spotlighting things at all, in my opinion, but we will get to that when we get to it. Bean says, only reasons though clans got spotlighted were they were willing to reach for the soap. Oh man. Well, hey, no. Neither here nor there. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. UTB says, that being LOL true that. Blimpy says, I registered for playtest yesterday, but it's over for Renown. Yes, the Renown playtest is over. They'll probably do more in the future. If you do buy Renown, you can be in the ongoing process of testing. I have not done that yet because I want to see more of the features get fleshed out. I'd like to see offline rating brought to an end, or at least be able to host my own private server where I can control that a little more before I fully invest my time and money into Renown. But it is a very, very interesting looking game. A lot less immersive in terms of role play and world building and living, and a lot more immersive in terms of combat and conflict and things like that. Blippy says, I'm probably not going to get it then. Yeah, I mean, I would wait. If you're on the fence about it, I would just wait. There's no harm in that, right? We have plenty other things. Like I cannot express to you how excited I am for the V-Rising 1.1 update. The early access is going to start in about a week. It is under strict NDA, so I won't be able to talk with you guys about anything that's happening there, unfortunately. But I like to personally, I don't partake in many NDAs, but I like to personally help out that development team, because that game is one of my favorite games I've ever played in my entire life. And I don't say that lightly. V Rising is one of the best games I've ever played. If you like that style of game, definitely check out V Rising. I have an event on the community Discord server. Type !Discord to get a link over there if you're not a part of it. Really, really, really great game. And this update looks really good. I'm looking forward to it and the future of V Rising. Really awesome game. But that's beside the point. A little bit off topic there. Gore4 says, I don't like private servers in games with this vision. It neuters what they are about and need the drama caused by player strife. But that's the thing. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, nothing stops you from going and playing on a public server where you can have that drama and strife and whatever else. But for someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of time to engage in playing in video games, they don't want to be forced into having a toxic environment that's filled with drama and strife if they don't want to. And that's where private servers really shine. It doesn't take away from your experience. It doesn't take away from your ability to go and be a part of those public servers, like on a public Rust server where you're going to have all that drama and toxicity and stuff. All it does is give the individuals who literally don't want to be a part of it their own way and their own space to be able to engage in it. And that's why I will always advocate for private servers. I don't see any downside to having private servers because, again, it doesn't take away from you at all. You can still go do absolutely whatever you want to do. You can go and play on a public server and be subject to toxicity or people jumping in front of your camera and photobombing you and just trying to ruin events and just being outright mean people. You can 100% be subject to that if that's what you want to be subject to. But all private servers do is give people the ability to be able to play the game the way that they want to at its very core. And then not to mention the longevity of mods, being able to pick up the slack where developers and development processes may fall short. There's so many positives that come from private servers. I mean, look at like V Rising. I get to set the date and time of the raids, if I want to make only raids available on weekends, if I want to make PvP activate only during prime time and not outside of it. People can choose what times they want to engage with it then. I can choose the difficulty of bosses and how much health you have and how fast you can acquire resources. I get to tweak and cater these systems to my community and what we enjoy in terms of a game, because playing video games should be enjoyable. It lowers the number of players on the official servers. That may be true, but if you think about it, those people don't want to be there. Why should you have the authority to be able to force them to play there? If it came down to it, some people may choose to just not play the game if they're forced to play in those toxic environments, to the point where you're not losing players anyways. It's just giving them the option to play it the way that they want. I do understand where you're coming from, though. I could see that population on servers and stuff, especially with a dwindling player population that we have currently, it would make it a little bit smaller. But here's the thing. You're free to go and play on those private servers as well. Like, for instance, if they gave us private servers right now, my private servers would be open to the public. You'd be able to come into that space without registering, without anything. If then you show bad faith, you would be removed from the space. If you show bad faith and there's proof that you did X, Y, and Z, I get to moderate and remove you from the space. We have several people who are on our blacklist for doing absolutely egregious things. Terrible, terrible, disgusting, out of character things and in character things that have just been way too far and crossed a line. And those people, I should not be forced to play with those people. And at very least, I think that PAX Day could benefit from the having systems, social systems that allow me to ignore or block people to where it happens like World of Warcraft. They disappear off my screen. So if somebody wants to act a troll and jump in front of my stream while I'm trying to show off the game and have fun with people, and they want to come to an event and act a fool and try to derail it or in some way, shape, or form, harass us, I could ignore them and they would disappear. Until they give us that, I mean, it falls way short of the systems we need in order to properly moderate and police a game of this scale. But yes, I mean, ultimately it could remove players from the official servers, but those people would be forced. Right now, they're being forced to engage in those things that maybe they would not otherwise want to. And I'm all about freedom here. I want you to have the freedom to play the game the way that you want. And I don't think it's fair to say that it's a negative of private servers that you can't have the high populations because people would choose to go and play the game the way that would truly bring them joy. That doesn't seem like a negative in my opinion, personally. Gore4 says, I'm for private servers if the developers deem that they are not able to achieve an MMO part of the game. Well, I mean, look at Conan Exiles. I mean, technically, Conan Exiles is kind of an MMO. They have official servers. You can go play on those official servers, and they have private servers with tons of mods and a lot of fun stuff that people can choose to have, like a very. So, for instance, I know of a server in a community that they run a Conan Exiles server and community. They run a seasonal RP server. So like every 3 to 6 months, they wipe the server and everybody makes all completely new in-character personas and stuff. And they make all new parties and clans and groups, and they have stories that they're unfolding, and then they seasonally wipe it. I can't really do that fully unless I have a private server to make us all in the same playing field and remove those bad faith actors and stuff. It just gives you options, right? It really gives you options. I mean, even World of Warcraft has private servers. Hell, I host my own private World of Warcraft server for my own personal use and enjoyment, where I can just go and mess around with stuff. Private servers exist in a wide scheme of games, and MMOs are not excluded from that. I think that private WoW servers thrive where maybe the experience is different and more catered. Like there's I just found out recently, I forgot the name of it, but there's an entirely RP-driven MMO experience for World of Warcraft on a private server. Everything in the game can just be given to yourself. It's all 100% about roleplay. You get to build your own environments and your own spaces that people can then come to, and you can create your own stories. Private servers, in my opinion, are a must for every game, really. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it just allows you to be able to play the game the way that you like. UDB says, off topic, hot fixes are staged for the upcoming Star Citizen current performance issues. That's good. Yeah, I know they just released their, what is it, 4.1? Patch 4.1, a lot of really cool stuff in there. Kuda Pooter says, Project Gorgon, only if I had a group to play with. Yeah, Project Gorgon looks interesting, to be honest. Cat Died says, for Drill, are you able to play Renown right now? I can't with the backer Steam key, and I think they paused sales until they get the keys fixed. The Gore4 says, already read that one. Let's see here. I'm trying to catch up on chat so we can continue through there, reflecting on early access. For Drill says, Cat died. Not yet. There is still key issues. Oh, okay. Going on there. Gotcha. I thought I was missing out. Cat died says. For Drill says, I've been checking Renown Discord every hour. Yeah, that game looks really, really interesting. The Gore4 says private WoW servers are illegal. They are indeed illegal. Yeah, they do break if they get a cease and desist, then if they don't stop, then legal action can be taken. But if they get a cease and desist, yeah, I mean, absolutely, they are illegal. But it shows you how high the demand is for private servers. I mean, there have been a multitude of private servers for different MMOs that have 100% been illegal. I'm not promoting or saying that you should do something illegal like that, but absolutely, they are 100% illegal. I think they more so become illegal when they're monetizing it. There are other private servers out there that absolutely do monetize it and have microtransactions and pay-to-win features implemented, and I don't really support those features. But I am an advocate for open source stuff and people being able to enjoy playing video games the way that they want to, ultimately. Hell, if you want to put up a private WoW server and play with you and 2 friends or 5 friends or 10 friends, and that's the way you want to enjoy that, I don't really see the harm in that. I get it. Okay, you're going to be taking money out of the pockets of the developers to some extent. I mean, it's like pirating music, I guess, if you want to equate it to that, for sure, absolutely. But I'm more so really want people to be able to enjoy their gaming experience. And if that means having a private server for something that may or may not technically be illegal, then I mean that's up to them. I'm not going to advocate for or against anything like that. That's up to the individual. I was just stating the fact that it does exist, so it shows that there is a demand, even for a game as big as World of Warcraft, the need for private servers for people. The Gore4 says, I honestly think the classic WoW server is the best WoW. Classless WoW server is the best WoW. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different unique takes on it. I mean, look at Project, Turtle WoW has their own unique take on it. There's so many different private servers that allow those people to play the game. And those, you could argue, when Turtle WoW and all these other RP servers and stuff, all private servers for WoW, those are taking people away from World of Warcraft's player base. I don't get to interact with them now because they're playing on private servers, but I'm happy for them because they're getting to play the game the way that they want, you know? And that's ultimately where my desire for private servers come from. I don't see it as a negative that I'm no longer subject to being forced to play on a server and be forced to be put in a space that's not being properly moderated, in my opinion. Bean says, sorry I bring up Life is Feudal again, but it's exactly like that with private servers. Let's see here. Goreforce says, I do understand your point completely. UTB says, I got CDs oh God, CDs are so 2000. I like CDs though, to be honest. I still have some discs from games that are from a long time ago. Goreforce says cease and desist. Yep, 100%. They will get cease and desist. And it happened to one of the biggest private classic WoW servers that I actually played on. I'm not going to lie. Fidril says private server is how Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning has not only continued but thrived still well long after discontinued officially. Absolutely. I know there's I forgot the name of the private Star Wars server as well that allowed the game to continue well past its end of life for the developers. And that's why I think Dune is seeing a lot of pushback, and ultimately it might fail at launch if they don't come out with private servers fast enough, because a lot of the people said it's not worth my money to put into Dune Awakening, which is an MMO, without having the fallback of being able to host private servers. That's ultimately what a lot of the go check Reddit and stuff. There's been big talk about that. But let's get on with talking about how they're reflecting on early access. So Mainframe goes on to say the main goal for us moving into early access was to get constant feedback from live community to help us develop the game, and wow, did the community deliver. I think we delivered. Whether they actually took it all to heart or not, people would argue one way or the other. I think there's a lot of stuff that just got pushed to the side, and obviously they're not going to implement every single feature that we need fixed, but I think the F8s on some of the bugs took way longer than they should have to get fixed, and they had profound effects on the game. Cooter says Star Wars Galaxies. Yes, I think that's what it was. Coming soon with 1.0, hopefully to jump to light speed. Still, to this day, my favorite MMO of all time. Yes, a lot of games have really gone past their life expectancy because of private servers. They go on to say, we're grateful for and humbled by your continued engagement. Over 70,000 of you, are following PAX Day's development journey on our official Discord and sharing tips and tricks daily to help out others. Looking at the different parts of the game, here is where we stand today. We've spent the first month stabilizing the game. Then our first update, Proving Grounds, was about addressing some of the biggest challenges we saw emerging before we could focus on adding new systems and deepening the game with Market Square onwards. We also had to make the tough decisions. Some features we initially had planned to be they had to be deprioritized as we focused on strengthening the foundations of PAX Day. While this meant delays in some areas, like the highly expected PvP system or the Knight and Soldier features, so they did bump those back a little bit, it has also allowed us to deploy some elements sooner than planned in the roadmap, and even to add some new elements that will make PAX Day stronger in the long run. And all of that is fine and dandy, but again, you have to understand the totality of the circumstances. We're at 9 months. We're pushing past 9 months, and what do we actually have in terms of unique systems that have been implemented into PAX Day? I'll let you guys decide what you think those are, but keep that in mind, that a lot of this stuff is taking pretty long to be developed, especially when you consider the deep pockets they have and the size of the development team. Early game